Ladies and gentlemen, we've invited first class, now we're inviting executive platinum, emerald, sapphire, and ruby if those words are written. Hi, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Crew Travel right here on Yachting International Radio. My name is Ria. I am your host, and I'm very pleased to welcome back the stoic Lee Harris. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you, Ria. Yeah, a good week. Ready for another one?
I have to mention that Crew Travel is brought to you weekly by Blue Marine Travel, who haven't lost a passenger since Lee Harris was born back in the late 1900s. And of course, their people move people.
We certainly do.
What's going on over at American Airlines?
Indeed, yeah. We've talked about it previously on the show that they were talking about going on strike, but now Heathrow faces more flight disruption as American Airlines engineers at the airport have now voted to strike. More than 50 aircraft maintenance technicians and crew chiefs responsible for the aircraft that make 23 daily American Airlines Heathrow departures have voted to take action over pay. That statement came from Unite the Union. Dates for the strikes will be announced in the coming days. Unite said the engineers are angry about a 3-year pay offer and strike action would cause massive disruption. In the first year, technicians would receive a rise of 5.3% and crew chiefs 3.8%. In the second year, all workers would receive a lump sum cash payment, while in the third year, a pay freeze would be implemented. As I said, the announcement of the dates will be coming soon. Obviously, keep in contact with our social media and the Blue Marine website, and we'll give the information as soon as it drops.
See, that isn't even in line with inflation.
It's not even close, is it? That's the worrying thing, that they even present it as an offer and think it might be accepted.
You know, it's literally saying to you, inflation's risen this much, but we're not even going to give you that. So in essence, we're actually giving you less money than we paid you last year.
Exactly right. Yep. And they wonder why it gets rejected.
Yeah, well, Amsterdam Airport is in about the same situation, but moving along. Latam Airlines.
In good news for South African crew working the Caribbean season, Latam Airlines Group has announced it will resume its commercial route between Sao Paulo in Brazil and Johannesburg International Airport in South Africa. The service will see free weekly flights on board the airline's Boeing 787 Dreamliner fleet. That's after more than 3 years halted due to the COVID-19 pandemic. With the new route, customers will be able to reach the African city in just 9 hours. The new route will accommodate 300 passengers. That's 30 in premium and business class and 270 in economy class.
And Anguilla has some COVID restriction lifts.
They do indeed, yeah, just in time for the upcoming Caribbean season. The Eastern Caribbean destination of Anguilla has dropped its remaining COVID-19 entry restrictions for visitors. Since October the 1st, all visitors, whether vaccinated or unvaccinated, have no longer been required to present a COVID-19 test result to the airlines on check-in and on arrival at the port of entry into Anguilla. However, visitors transiting through St. Martin, a hotspot for crew in the Caribbean season, to travel to Anguilla are still required to adhere to St. Martin's entry requirements. The news comes as the Anguilla Tourist Board announced that American Airlines will also introduce additional flights to its daily scheduled service from Miami to Anguilla next month. From November the 3rd to December the 17th, American Airlines will operate 8 flights a week to Anguilla. And then for the festive season between December the 18th and January 8th, the island will see 11 flights a week operating from Miami.
And Virgin Atlantic has some not so good news.
Yeah, unfortunately not. Virgin Atlantic are ending their service to Hong Kong and also closing their office after 30 years in the Asian hub. The airline suspended passenger flights to the city in December when all flights from the UK were banned due to the pandemic. Flights from London had been due to resume at the start of the 2023 summer schedule. Now, there's several factors contributing to the decision to pull out altogether. Those include the closure of Russian airspace that made flight times at least an hour longer. Also, Virgin Australia ended its services between Melbourne and Sydney to Hong Kong, reducing the number of connecting passengers. The decision will enable Virgin Atlantic to raise frequencies on other key routes this summer.
Right. And Portugal has some COVID news as well.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, the Portuguese authorities have announced that the country has decided to drop the mandatory isolation rule for people infected with the COVID-19 disease. Such a decision comes after the country evaluated the current situation and concluded that COVID should be considered more like the flu. Instead of undergoing isolation, the Portuguese authorities have suggested those that show symptoms of COVID or any other respiratory disease limit their contact with vulnerable persons as well as wear a face mask. Now, while Portugal has decided to relax the isolation rules, the authorities emphasised that everyone must still wear a face mask, especially when accessing different health establishments.
And Apple is in the spotlight again.
They are indeed. Yeah, this one really interesting, actually. With lost luggage on the rise, crew are getting savvy and starting to track their own luggage with Apple AirTags. Lufthansa, however, have now got other ideas. While many airlines provide baggage tracking, it's beneficial to know precisely where your checked luggage is. It's advantageous when your luggage is delayed or goes missing, given how difficult it is to get hold of airlines, especially at this time. Now, there have not been reports of airlines banning these as yet, but that has all now changed, as German media have reported that European airline giant Lufthansa has prohibited the use of AirTags in passengers' checked luggage. Airlines have realized that these tracking devices allow passengers to recognize that their bags have gone missing, potentially even before the airline does. Such as reports of a traveller requesting to find his bag or be offloaded the flight himself simply by the tracking of an Apple AirTag. Now, such simple requests could obviously affect airlines' on-time performance and create knock-on effects for passengers that may have connecting flights. And while the International Air Transport Association establishes the rules for what can and cannot be taken in checked luggage and publishes these in their dangerous goods regulations manual, AirTags are yet to feature. IATA policy states that electronic devices in checked luggage must be completely turned off. However, it appears that Lufthansa has taken this advice to justify the prohibition of the Apple AirTags. We shall see, obviously, in the next few weeks, whether other major airlines follow suit. So any travellers travelling with Lufthansa, please do not pack your Apple AirTags in your bags as they will be removed.
Is there a way, if it's inside the bag, is there a way for them to know whether or not it's there?
I'm guessing if it goes through the X-ray machine, I'm sure they'll be able to pick it up somehow. Or whether it lets off some, I don't know, it emits something or whatever. Not quite sure how they're going to find out, to be honest with you, but apparently they can, and they will remove them.
Interesting. Well, air travel is definitely not going back to the easy way of things that it was prior to the pandemic, as we all thought it would.
No, it's taken a while, isn't it? It's definitely a lot of hiccups still along the way. Hopefully 2023 might be a bit easier for people when they're traveling.
I think we've been saying that every year since 2020.
I think we have.
Year.
We'll still probably be here saying this in 2025.
More than likely. And by then it'll be a whole different set of issues, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It'll probably still have a lot to do with the fact that there's absolutely nobody willing to work for them.
Maybe it'd be like car hire. You hire your own plane and fly it yourself.
Yeah, well, I'm sure Elon Musk will come up with something like that shortly.
Uber flights.
Yeah. Lee, I have to say thank you once again for all your valuable weekly advice. It's very much appreciated.
It's always a pleasure. Happy to be here.
I have to mention as well that Crew Travel is brought to you weekly by Blue Marine Travel, who haven't lost a passenger since Lee Harris was born back in the late 1900s. And of course, their people move people. You have been watching another edition of Crew Travel right here on Yachting International Radio. My name is Ria. I have been your host. We'll see you again next week.